Hi, this is Allie Newsome. I'm the Communications Director for the New Mexico Conference Office. And today we're going to be talking a little bit about doing some shooting. A lot of churches are interested in using social media more effectively. And the first thing that you need to think about is getting the images that you want to share. So I just wanted to share a few things that I do just to make that process a little bit easier, some things to consider. So first of all, this is the camera that I use. It's a Nikon 3500, yes. And what's nice about this is that it allows me to take movie and images. So this is my baby. I love it. So one of the things to start with is I tend to shoot dark. Because I know that I can do a lot of work in post-production. So if you shoot light, there's a trend right now to overexpose images, really that bright light, white images are beautiful, but you have to be very skilled to be able to get that right balance. So if you're really working very quickly, like most of us are, in church services or whatever you're doing, I tend to shoot dark, and then in post I can lighten things up a little bit. If you can shoot beautifully, if you spot on, that's perfect. But if you have to default one or the other, I would shoot dark. And then what I do, a lot of times I'll be in situations where a lot of churches are very dark, and there's a lot of movement going on, a lot of things to catch. And what if I can't get my settings just right? Because a lot of times, professional photographers will be able to go to like a wedding or something, and they'll get their settings correctly before the event. Well, if you're in a church setting, you can do a little bit of that, but you never know what's going to happen. So what I do sometimes is I put it on sort of the sports mode, and that's what this is upside down here, but it's that the sports mode. And a lot of times that saves me, because I can take the shutter goes very quickly. And so if, for example, someone's speaking, a lot of times they close their eyes when they're when they're speaking, and so you don't want to have a lot of just take one picture and the person's eyes closed. So I take a lot of pictures and hope, fingers crossed, that I get a good one using that fast shutter speed. The other thing is that one of the most boring things is pictures from way back. And so I have this smaller lens. This is 18 to 55 millimeter. And I have my go-to, which is 55 to 200 millimeter. And this is my go-to because I would much rather have a close-up than a faraway shot. I mean, sometimes what I'll do is I'll start far away and get some faraway shots and then move up if I have that freedom. But a lot of times, especially in church services, you just don't have that freedom at all. And you have to, in my default is to use a longer lens. And let's talk a little bit about how to prepare for service. People generally are not really crazy about photographers moving around. So what I usually do is I get to the service early, and if I can even do even more preparation in talking to the pastor, finding out what's going to happen, getting a bulletin or some sort of order, talking to the choir director, talking to the children's programs director, finding out what's okay and what's not okay. For example, if you're shooting a church service and the choir is going to be singing a beautiful song and it's very quiet, a lot of times the choir director will ask that you do not shoot during that. The most annoying thing is to have a photographer behind you with the click, 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 click while you're trying to, and the people who are doing the singing, they do not want the click, click, click thing going on and distraction. So a lot of times choir directors will say, please don't shoot during the song if it's really loud, and I mean people are like really getting into it and it's really loud and you're not going to distract anybody. You might sit at the back or on the side and you'll be able to take some really beautiful pictures. but please definitely talk to the choir director before you do any shooting. Same thing with the pastor. There may be something, if you have permission. I worked for a consultant with a church, and they were really excited about having a photographer in the church taking pictures so they could share outside the walls, show people outside of the church what was going on. But you have to sort of change the culture a little bit. But I had really good support from the church I worked with. And so I would ask the pastor if there's anything special going on, something that she wanted me to cover, whether it was the bell choir or a baptism. Baptisms are great, but you need to ask the parents if it's okay to take pictures of the child and whether that could be posted on social media. The best thing to do with those kinds of special events is to find out if there's any choreography. A lot of times they'll work out, the pastors will stand on this side, parents on this side. They want to have things situated so that the congregation can see what's going on. So it's best to have the photographer placed in such a way where you can get some really good images. And it helps just to ask people what that's going to look like. You also need to think about whether you're going to stay put in a service or going to be moving around. Many times if it's a baptism and it's really important to cover it, I'll situate myself in the middle, and that means I'm staying put. So I have to be really cognizant of what else is going to happen in the service. If there is a lot going on and I really want to get some long shots, I will sit close to the front but on the side so that I don't distract people from what's going on. So a lot of it happens when you're really wanting to capture what's going on in the service. A lot depends on what happens before the service even starts and getting a game plan. Sometimes, quite honestly, things happen and you just can't foresee, and you just kind of do the best that you can, and you just don't want to distract from what's going on. And I never, ever use the flash. I know that a lot of photographers do, and they make beautiful pictures, but I just can't bring myself to do it. I just feel like it's too distracting. And so I do the best that I can, and I do a lot of work in post-production. Let's see. And the other thing is children. What a lot of churches have is a do not post list. There's children who might be in the foster program, or for some reason they cannot not by any means be posted in social media or anywhere else publicly, and there's a very good reason for that. So I would work with the children's programs director, or just ask people if there's a list somewhere of children. What I used to do is if I got some really great pictures of children, I would send them to whoever was in the know with regard to that list, and they'd say either yes or no. And even if it was like the best picture and the little girl, she was the soloist, if she was on that list, nope, you cannot use it. And sometimes they have lists of adults who are who cannot have their image posted. So it's really good for churches to have those lists going, and have the people responsible for social media and like the website and newsletters to know who those people are, so you don't make a mistake and post those pictures, because it could be pretty catastrophic. And then don't be afraid to get in there, especially if you have the permission from the pastor, choir director, children's programs person. The most boring picture, and I see this an awful lot, is people placed in the very back of the church, so as not to distract anybody, and they have these long shots where there's no story to be told. So the best thing you can think of, if you think of nothing else, when you take an image, and you might take lots and lots and lots and lots of images, but when you go back and look, what story is that picture telling? Is it telling any kind of story? I know that a lot of pictures are sort of posed, everybody's standing in a line, and I have to be honest, those are my least favorite pictures. What I love are the ones that are not posed, that I just captured a moment, and it tells a story. So that's what you're really going for. So I hope this was helpful. If you have any questions, again, my name is Allie Newsom. I'm the communications director for the conference, and you can go to our website and find me under the staff list. I'm at 505-255-8786, extension 111. Thank you so much. God bless.